My research is all about exploring the possibilities of integrating multicolor and pattern changing effect or functionalities onto textile surfaces without compromising core textile characteristics such as washability, durability, drapability, and comfortability.
My research is about the development of the Indian fashion system. The interesting thing about India is the particular way that modernisation has taken place in relation to fashion. There's been a continuity of a traditional form running alongside classic modern international fashion, which many commentators in Asia call Western fashion. The Indian fashion industry is now beginning to impact the global fashion industry, and in attempting to map its future, an examination of transcultural trends would help to assess the marketability of Indian fashion.
My research is about a lot of things. I think I started as a fine artist, and the creative part of me has always been engaged in that, and that's been a constant theme, and that's attracted me to different subjects and communities along the way. So my fine art background led me to deal with technology, and I started doing a lot of computer art, and that sort of guided me through various decisions, and technology remains a strand of my research, and as I become more involved with fashion and textiles, it became a very strong strand. With my colleague Jasbir, I proposed we write a book which actually started to provide this sort of foundational knowledge and bring together a kind of an epistemological basis, you would call it, to textiles as a subject, which was followed by another one which was about fashion and textiles as a subject. I think another aspect of my research has been to do with the experience of being a lecturer and interacting with students, particularly postgraduate students. And I found for certainly a decade or more of my life, I had a very strong involvement with Southeast Asia and China. And I had a lot of research students involved in the areas of cultural heritage and identity, and I suppose dealing with the impact of modernity on their societies and sort of retrieving their cultural heritage and finding a new place for it.
My research is about a collection of garments that were bequeathed to the School of Art by Kate Elizabeth Bunce, the Pre-Raphaelite artist. It's important because she was a female artist working at a time when there weren't many female artists working professionally, and it's important that we make her contributions to the arts more visible. My research is specifically concerned with how objects communicate story, and particularly dress, because as an embodied object, it has the power to communicate interesting narratives.
My main research interest is clothing fit considerations for pattern cutting, and I have conducted a number of research projects related to clothing patterns and sizing comparison. My recent research and PhD was comparative study on children's wear between the UK and Korea, because the body shape and size of children are distinctive and continually developing into the adult size, and the size system between the countries and companies are not standardized, and it brings to the difficulty to clothing companies.
I research into sustainability and ethics in the fashion industry. It's a really vast and complex topic, as there's currently a lot of issues in our industry, as well as the sort of sustainability, a lot of pollution, a lot of chemicals going on. There's also the ethical issues with stakeholders and the workers in the supply chain. So we very much need a lot of change. So everyone has their responsibility to play within that. And again, I think that's where research can be really helpful.
I'm exploring the grey area between fashion and art, which often is called experimental fashion. It is clear to me that experimental fashion is not quite art, but it exhibits visual and conceptual resemblance to fine art pieces. The term experimental I use to describe fashion pieces which experiment with the limit of design concepts, such as shape, volume, and fit, as well as exploring aesthetic ideas through creation displayed on the body. Pieces of experimental fashion may not have any resemblance either to fashionable clothes or the human body.
My research is a proposal to establish the interactive relationship between fashion manufacturers with their customers. This relationship can help the manufacturers to realize their consumers' various and individual needs and wants as soon as possible while developing the products. Then they can provide customized products to meet the individual needs of various consumers. It can also help consumers to customize their wanted garments with special styles, colors, fabrics, and other details through the interactive design platform at any time and anywhere.
My research is focused on the problem of Chinese knitwear brand. Most Chinese knitwear brands have to meet their problem recently. Their market is shrinking and their consumers are aging. The research is important because there are many Chinese knitwear brands are suffering from their business decline. And a lot of companies need to think about how to development, and some of them even have to face how to continue survive.
The crossing stitches that you see in my work is what's holding the fabric around that particular piece of ceramic. And then the little stitches I do from the outside join one fragment to another. You're faced with this sort of you versus the piece challenge. How's it going to look when it's recreated? It's almost a little bit like the urge of when you begin a jigsaw puzzle. You sort of know where you're ending up, but realisation of what it actually is going to look like, you won't know until you get there. So there is that sort of journey. Because no two pieces are ever the same, I'm constantly responding to the piece as it's developing and as it's building. Hopefully I enable it to go further, move forward and have a new lease of life. I like the idea that its perceived value has gone up and down and has these dips and moments.